So to begin by thanking the organisers, Mayor Ray, and your colleagues, Miriam, Catherine, Bernard, and a special thanks to Brigitte for looking after the events quiz yesterday. Sorry for that little hiccup. I'm going to talk about textual analysis in the context of, first of all, the highly important area of film, which also holds for television and for increasingly for games. I'm going to look at the use of correspondence analysis for that, for the mapping of interrelationships. I'm also going to proceed to look at the time evolution using hierarchical clustering. And as I will show, this essentially captures the discreteness and discontinuities in time. And then I'm going to go on to look at initial steps in trying to take that a lot further in areas related to the analysis of the research literature and implications for other areas too, including funding proposals and other data, which is in the form of text. The types of, therefore, problems to be addressed are mentioned here. I will look at the Casablanca film script because it has been analysed to death, in a general sense. It has been analysed very extensively. And this work on our side was recently published in Pattern Recognition and was commented on in a discussion piece in Nature a few months back. Casablanca film itself actually, surprisingly maybe, embodies aspects of interaction. Right at the start, it was finalised during production. And therefore one of the tasks which is being addressed in this work is film script writing. This, as I said, is extremely important because it holds for numerous areas, and there's a very, very pronounced convergence now between television, cinema, games, and for that matter, online communities, where already there are examples of television programs, for instance, which arose initially through activity in online communities. One other maybe point just to mention here too about this is you see script by a bunch of people. And this is also typical for television work. In the case of this work, the paper I mentioned a moment ago, there's also quite a bit of analysis of the TV program Crime Scene Investigation, CSI, which is available on many European channels currently. And in a case like that, for instance, each and every episode will have a couple of writers even to begin with, quite apart from the other aspects of the implementation, the production of such TV films, TV series. And consequently, there is a need for tools to facilitate the writing of these things and production. And my first example is going to use a table which expresses the Casablanca film, but I will return a little later to the more normal way of handling such textual data in correspondence analysis, where the entire set of words used enter into the analysis. But first, I'll just look at this data table, which was prepared with a number of attributes for each of the scenes in this film. And the attributes, there are 12 of them altogether there when you consider that various forms of Rick's Cafe were pulled into one particular attribute and all other locations were pulled into another, giving 12 attributes in total. So this type of map, therefore, which characterizes most of the information in terms of inertia because of one of the dual spaces not being too great in terms of dimensionality. This tells a certain amount about the film. You see, for instance, over on the right-hand side that int, meaning interior scenes, is related strongly to night. This is often in Rick's Cafe and so on. The aspect of night and day, and in particular, is very important in film for giving the sense of evolution of time. So what is at issue in an embedding of the sort just seen is that, in a sense, we have, okay, not just all of the interrelationships taken into account, but this captures the geometry of the information. And as a result, okay. It's a little bit tricky here because I don't have it on the screen in front of me. So the Euclidean embedding is expressed by the, I see a symbol which is incorrect there in this translation into a PDF of this document. But okay, it gives the, it indicates the Euclidean nature of the space which we have. As a result of this, therefore, all interrelationships are captured in this way. The principle involved goes back to Christian Huygens, and this is a depiction from one of Ben-Zikri's books. On the lower right of the figure is a stylized representation of the ellipse, which represents in a continuous way the discrete points, and therefore the idea is that from the cloud of points you derive the axes, the principal axes, therefore, of the cloud. So having spoken for a moment there about the geometry of information, I just want to say something about how one can think of the topology of information in a somewhat different sense. The Euclidean embedding, to begin with, provides a very good basis for subsequent operations, including, I might mention, machine learning type operations, and this is a point that I will return to a bit later. But we need also to look at anomaly and change and so on in any area in which we are dealing with. And here is a little stylized view of this point. Just for instance, consider a situation where we have in a Google search or whatever, and we are coming in with a new query indicated with a red dot, and the other available information is represented by black dots, and we want to find the closest response to our query or idealized information item. That request is addressed reasonably straightforwardly in the context shown. But now consider a situation where we're coming in with a new desired piece of text, and we find that everything that we could possibly obtain is very, very distant. In such a situation, we must really at least allow for the context which is telling us that on the one hand, yes, you can define proximity, but the question is also raised as to whether that proximity is really beneficial or not, because of the distance. So we can of course consider Euclidean distance, but in many ways this situation is more usefully mapped out using an ultrametric. And in an ultrametric, we must have either equilateral triangles or isosceles triangles with small base. So this therefore is, this defines the ultrametric inequality. Again, there's a slight error there because of the translation of these slides. And what we have here, therefore, is the closest common ancestor distance representable in very straightforward terms using a hierarchy. So in the case, just to return to the Casablanca data looked at a few moments ago. We have the ability, therefore, to look at change over time. This is a timeline-constrained hierarchical clustering. In other words, the 77 scenes in sequence are forced to keep that same sequence. It's a complete link hierarchical clustering using the complete link criterion, but with the constraint that the timeline be respected. And this gives rise to the possibility of finding the major jumps, major changes in the film. One of the things, for instance, looked at it was to take the film script and look at how well that dovetailed with advertising breaks, for instance, which are part and parcel of every television program. Now, just a few words on correspondence analysis as used here. Web of interrelationships and from the clustering evolution of relationships over time. I view correspondence analysis pretty much in terms of, as stated here, 3 different metrics which are used in conjunction. And the analysis chain is just indicated here in terms of taking the data, using it in embedding for other purposes, notably here the hierarchical cluster. Now, can we go further and actually look at certain aspects of the semantics in text? I'm going to look at a particular scene in the context of Casablanca, doing that. And we know that, okay, interrelationships, the dual spaces, etc., are covered and handled well by the Euclidean embedding. Evolution in the sense of change and transition, anomaly and such like are handled well by hierarchical clustering. So I'm going to have a look just at one particular scene in correspondence analysis. And this is a pretty good starting point, because in this book there is extensive discussion of various aspects of the film, including other types of features which can be used to characterize film script text. And the point I will make a little later, just towards the end, will be that there is tremendous potential for such an approach in other areas as well. So I'm going to just have a look at this particular one scene right in the middle of Casablanca. It is subdivided, and this is following very much the key book that I've just indicated. It's divided into sub-scenes, and this is where Rick and Ilsa, if you know the film, meet in the marketplace, in the bazaar, and they basically are sort of coming closer and then repelling each other. There's kind of a sort of a dual movement, if you like. And this is captured quite nicely in the correspondence analysis, which takes the 11 sub-scenes crossed by all of the words, more than one character in length, and gives rise to this particular view. You can see the 11 beats or sub-scenes represented here. So what does this show you? It shows you the transition, and some of the transitions are particularly interesting. The vertical axis is very much one of repulsion and attraction. The 8th beat is one where there is somewhat of a surprise from Rick's point of view, and then the beat number 11 is again the dashing of Rick's hopes in regard to his potential future with Ilsa. So